Popping into someone's house uninvited and complaining about food in restaurants is among the things that are considered to be rude in the UK. And if you'd like to hear more, stay put. Hey guys, it's Amanda. I hope you're all well. If you're new here, I'm an American who's lived in the UK for like 10 years, and I make videos about my experiences and life in England. When visiting or moving to a new country, it's no secret that it's a learning experience, as culturally, nowhere is really the same. So today, I'm going to talk about things that the British find rude or make them feel uncomfortable. I've made the mistake of doing some of these things when I first moved here, not even realizing that I was being rude because a few of these things are commonplace in the States. I thought I'd share them with you to give you the heads up for your next visit. And it's worth mentioning that not all Brits will find these things rude. These are just generalizations that I've found since living here. If you enjoy this video and want to support the channel, make sure you hit that like button or head over to my Instagram to say hello. Being overly affectionate or touchy with people. Americans, at least my family, are very lovey, touchy-feely people, so it was the norm to give hugs and kisses whenever we saw each other. But that is not the case in England. I'm not sure if it's really rude or just culturally not done, but you won't see Brits being all touchy with people in public, regardless of whether they're family or not. They're more comfortable in the privacy of their own home, so if you're out with Brits, keep your hands to yourself, unless, of course, it's a handshake. They're absolutely fine with that. Asking personal questions to someone you barely know. In the US, people are very open about things. They're happy to talk about their personal life, sometimes with complete strangers. So I had no idea this could be considered rude. But it is. So don't do it. My advice, I wouldn't start firing off personal questions about their finances, family, education, or religion the first time you meet in a pub. You'll most likely just make them feel really uncomfortable. And I'd be curious to know, what question do you find the most rude or has made you feel really uncomfortable from someone that's asked you? Let me know in the comments. Not holding the door for someone behind you. I think this one is just having manners. I'd like to think we would all hold the door for someone who's coming in behind us. However, if the person is too far away and they need to almost like run to the door while you're holding it, they might get a bit annoyed. So only hold it if they're right behind you. Speaking loudly in public. I don't know about other countries, but we Americans can be very loud in public places. That's really no secret, whether we're talking on the phone or we're in large groups having a chat. I never really noticed this until moving here. And mainly when we visited London, we've heard tours, the Americans always stick out. And I'm not sure if it's because we're much more animated, but Brits find this annoying. They don't want to hear other people's conversations, which is fair enough. Inviting yourself to someone's house or just popping in. I definitely learned this one since moving here. Growing up in Pennsylvania, we rarely ever called to let anyone know that we were stopping by. It's very much like an open door policy for the most part. Of course, I can't speak for every American, but that's how it was with my family and friends. However, it's a big no-no here. Never invite yourself or pop over to someone's house unannounced or uninvited. They won't appreciate it, as their home is their personal, private space. I would make plans ahead of time and call the day before just to make sure you're still on for the next day. Complaining about food in restaurants. Most British people I've met will usually eat whatever is on their plate, and if it isn't cooked properly, they will just put it to the side. I didn't really get it because in the US, it's not seen as rude to complain about your food unless you're being like incredibly rude to the waiter or waitress. because we've all heard that one table complaining and just being horrible for the sake of it, and no one agrees with that. There's just no need for it. But I feel like if it's justified and you're being polite about it, you should be able to say something as you're paying for the meal. What are your thoughts on this? Not having manners. I feel like this one is pretty obvious, as I think most people think having bad manners is rude. But they're essential in British culture. They hold manners higher than pretty much anything else. So make sure you say please, thank you, and sorry when appropriate. It really just comes down to respect and treating others the way you would want to be treated. Queue jumping. Never, and I mean never, jump the queue. If for some reason you're crazy enough to do it, best case scenario, you'll get some glares. Worst case, some unwanted confrontation. And I'm curious to know if you guys think there's ever a time when it is acceptable, that you'd be like, all right, I can see why they jumped the queue. Let me know. If you're out for drinks and you don't join in the round system. As an American, I wasn't aware of the system. We buy our drinks as and when we need them. However, in the UK, if you're out drinking with friends and you don't join the round system, it's seen as rude. And rightly so. If they've been buying your drinks, it's only fair you return the favor. Sometimes instead of rounds, they all just put like X amount of money in a pot and they buy all drinks from that. Either way, it's just the polite thing to do, unless of course you make it known in the beginning of the night that you can't afford it or you won't really be drinking that much. Getting too close when speaking. This is something I never really thought about. Not that I'm like stood on top of people when I'm talking to them, but Brits like their personal space, especially if you've just met. So I keep about 2 feet in between just to be safe. As I've mentioned before, I'm sure every Brit won't agree with these. So for my British viewers, what are your thoughts on the things that I've discussed in this video? Is there any you would add? Let me know. And as I've said before, every country is culturally different. Chances are you aren't aware of what's rude or acceptable until you are thrown into the deep end. Personally, I really enjoyed settling into my life in England. It's fun learning about the differences, and truth be told, nearly a decade later, I'm still learning new stuff. Please share any experiences you've had while visiting or living in a different country, whether it be the UK or somewhere else, and put it in the comments. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, smash that like button if that's what you're into, and I'll see you in the next video.